There's something profoundly mysterious about the meeting of two awakened souls. It's not romance in the conventional sense, nor is it a friendship bound by mutual interests. It's an encounter that transcends form and function, as if the universe, wearing two different faces, suddenly remembers itself. When you meet someone who has seen beyond illusion, there is no need for explanation or words. The silence between you becomes the conversation. In ordinary life, most relationships are built upon a subtle form of need. We enter them searching for completion, hoping another will soothe the ache of separation. We look for validation in the eyes of the beloved, hoping their gaze will confirm that we are enough. But this is not love. It is longing wearing love's mask. The awakened soul, however, does not seek another to fill an emptiness within. They have already looked deeply into the mirror of existence and found that the reflection staring back was never separate from the source. They have seen through the game of identity, the illusion of lack. So when they meet another who has done the same, the energy shifts entirely. It's not two half-circles meeting to form a whole. It's two radiant suns orbiting each other, illuminating the same sky. Such a meeting is not planned, not chased. It arrives like a soft breeze through an open window, quietly, naturally, perfectly timed. The universe does not arrange these encounters for entertainment, but for recognition. The kind of recognition that says, "Ah, you too have woken from the dream." There is no spark of dependency, no grasping for permanence. Instead, there is an overwhelming peace. They see that what stands before them is not a person to possess, but a mirror of the divine consciousness, meeting consciousness, infinity greeting infinity. This is the paradox of awakening. When you finally realize you need no one, you become capable of the deepest connection imaginable. 2. Awakened souls do not meet to complete each other. They meet to celebrate that they were never apart. Have you ever met someone who felt like a mirror to your soul? Not in a romantic way, but in that strange, peaceful sense that you've known them for lifetimes? Let me know in the comments. From childhood, we are conditioned to believe that happiness lives somewhere outside of us, in achievement, in status, in another person's approval. We grow up internalizing a deep hunger, the belief that we are somehow incomplete. Society, religion, and media all reinforce the same idea that love is about finding your other half. But awakening reveals that there was never another half to begin with. When two souls meet who have transcended this illusion, their love becomes something unrecognizable to the ordinary mind. It's not about exchanging affection for security or attention for comfort. It's about two complete beings meeting with open hands, not to grasp, but to share. Carl Jung spoke of individuation as the path toward wholeness. Through shadow work, self-awareness, and the integration of our unconscious, we begin to dissolve the illusion that we are fragmented. Once we embody our totality, our darkness and our light, our pain and our joy, the idea of needing another to complete us becomes absurd. Instead, we meet others to celebrate the fullness that already overflows within us. Alan Watts compared this realization to the ocean playing with its own waves. Each person is a wave, appearing separate but never apart. When two awakened souls meet, it's like one wave recognizing another as itself. The form may be different, but the substance, the water, is one and the same. Machiavelli, though rarely discussed in spiritual contexts, touched upon a truth that applies here, that true power arises from self-mastery. In relationships, this translates to emotional sovereignty, the capacity to love without the compulsive need to possess. For when you no longer depend on another for your sense of wholeness, love becomes a gift, not a contract. The relationship between awakened souls is not a fusion of incomplete beings, but a communion of overflowing ones. They don't drain each other, they amplify each other. The energy between them is not sticky or desperate, but fluid and alive, like two rivers meeting to form a wider current, still distinct, yet flowing together toward the same ocean. Love, when freed from need, becomes not an act of survival, but a spontaneous flowering of consciousness. Recognition between awakened souls is immediate, and yet it is not about attraction in the usual sense. It's not about the surface of personality or appearance. It's as if two frequencies suddenly harmonize. The air becomes still, the mind goes quiet, awareness sees itself through another pair of eyes. When two beings are truly awake, there is no agenda in their meeting, no performance, no pretense, no need to be seen as special. The masks drop, and in their place arises something pure presence. They don't speak to impress or to convince. They speak as an act of exploration, a game of consciousness reflecting upon itself. Alan Watts said that when we stop trying to hold on, life begins to flow. This flow extends into every form of awakened relationship. Dialogue becomes play. Disagreement becomes exploration. Even silence becomes a language of its own. It's no longer about the mind trying to win, but about awareness, simply dancing with awareness. The depth of connection between awakened souls is born of absence, the absence of need, expectation, or fear. They understand that love is not something to be achieved, but something that is always here when the noise of wanting ceases. When they gaze at each other, they don't see a separate self. They see the universe looking back through another set of eyes. Such recognition brings peace. The heart stops seeking. Time seems to slow down. What was once a restless search turns into an effortless being. Each breath feels synchronized. Each silence feels complete. In that stillness, you realize you are not in the presence of another. You are in the presence of yourself, wearing a different face. If you're enjoying this reflection so far, remember to like and subscribe. It helps us reach others who are walking their own path toward awakening. Alan Watts described love as the dance between freedom and form, the paradox of intimacy and independence, coexisting without conflict. When two awakened souls love, they embody that paradox effortlessly. They are fully together, and yet fully free. Ordinary relationships often collapse under the weight of expectation. We cling to each other because we fear the vastness of our own being. We demand permanence in a world that is fluid. But the awakened know that to hold on is to destroy what you love. They understand that life itself is impermanent, that to love is to allow change. True love breathes. It allows movement. It respects rhythm. When two conscious beings meet, their connection doesn't bind, it liberates. They move like dancers who trust the music. They can come close without fear of losing themselves and step apart without losing connection. Freedom within love means trusting the intelligence of life itself. It's the courage to let the relationship evolve naturally, without forcing it into a predefined shape. The awakened soul knows that control is an illusion, that trying to shape love is like trying to capture wind in your hands. When you meet someone who honors your freedom, love deepens beyond anything you've known. It no longer feels like a fragile balance between two wills, but like a shared surrender to something larger than both. In that surrender, fear dissolves. Possession becomes unnecessary. The heart expands. Their connection is not a cage, but a sky. And within that sky, they learn to fly, together and apart, endlessly. Something beautiful and often overlooked arises when two awakened souls meet. Laughter. Not the forced laughter of politeness or the empty laughter of social masks, but a deep, knowing laughter that bubbles from the belly of the universe itself. They laugh because they see through the cosmic joke, the absurdity of human seriousness, the futility of trying to control the uncontrollable. They laugh because they remember that all of this, the striving, the seeking, the drama, is divine play. The Hindu mystics call it time's Leela, time's the dance of existence. Awakened laughter is the release of all tension. It's the sound of truth bursting through illusion. It says, "Ah, so this is what I was afraid of? Nothing." And when two beings who understand this share space, the room becomes lighter, the air vibrates with joy. Carl Jung hinted at this when he said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Once you've done that, once you've embraced the totality of your being, what's left to fear? You can laugh at your own patterns, at your mind's attempts to control life, at the comedy of pretending to be separate from the infinite. When two awakened souls laugh together, it's not just humor, it's a kind of meditation, a release of identity. The laughter doesn't divide, it unites. It is the song of awareness, celebrating its own existence. Do you think true wisdom always comes with a sense of humor? Or is laughter simply the soul's sigh of relief after seeing through the illusion? Share your thoughts below. When physical intimacy unfolds between awakened beings, it becomes something entirely different from what most people know. It's not about performance or desire rooted in lack. It's a sacred play of energy, where body and soul dissolve into one seamless awareness. Alan Watts describes such intimacy as the universe making love to itself. There's no agenda, no conquest, only presence. Every touch becomes an act of worship. Every breath becomes a prayer of gratitude. The body is not a vessel of pleasure alone, but a temple of consciousness, where every sensation is divine. When awakened souls unite physically, they do so without fear or shame. There's no attempt to prove worthiness, no anxiety about the future. The moment becomes eternal. The distinction between giving and receiving disappears. It's not times you and me times, it's times us as the universe asterisk. Sex, in this sense, ceases to be merely physical. It becomes meditation. Awareness fills every gesture. The act is not about seeking climax, but about exploring infinity through form. When two awakened bodies meet, the experience transcends emotion and enters silence. The silence after the act is not emptiness, it's fullness. It's being resting within being. This is the heart of awakened intimacy, complete presence, without need, without fear. The sacred and the mundane merge. Washing dishes, sharing a glance, lying together in silence, all of it becomes holy. Even awakened beings experience conflict, for awakening does not erase humanity, it refines it. Emotions still arise, misunderstandings still occur, but the difference lies in awareness. Conflict is no longer something to avoid, but an opportunity to deepen understanding. Carl Jung described relationships as mirrors that reveal the hidden parts of ourselves. Between awakened souls, this mirror becomes especially clear. Shadows appear not as enemies, but as teachers. When irritation, sadness, or anger arises, it's not projected outward, it's seen for what it is, unintegrated energy moving through consciousness. In such relationships, forgiveness is effortless. Not because one chooses to be noble, but because both understand that the wound and the healer are one. There is no holding of grudges, no scoreboard of past mistakes. Pain is acknowledged, embraced, and transformed into compassion. To love consciously is to love courageously, to see the ego in action and meet it with awareness instead of reactivity. Arguments dissolve not through victory, but through understanding. And every disagreement, when met with presence, becomes a doorway to deeper love. Awakened souls do not try to avoid pain. They walk through it hand in hand, knowing it is sacred fire that purifies the heart. To the awakened, love is not about constant proximity, but about rhythm. Just as the tides ebb and flow, connection breathes. Two awakened souls understand that love grows both in closeness and in space. They do not fear distance, for distance does not diminish love, it refines it. Alan Watts compared love to music. It is not about reaching the final note, but about enjoying the movement between notes. In that same way, awakened relationships honor the spaces between meetings, the silences between words, the moments of solitude between shared time. There is no anxiety in separation. Each trusts the natural intelligence of life. They know that every coming together and every parting are movements of the same cosmic rhythm. To love is to let go continually, not out of detachment, but out of trust. When two awakened souls part, it is not an ending but a continuation. For how can you leave what you never truly separated from? They understand that love is not confined to form. Whether together or apart, the connection remains as constant as the sky, as free as the wind. If this journey has resonated with you so far, remember to like this video and subscribe. It helps keep these reflections alive and shared with others on the path. In the end, when two awakened souls meet, it's not a meeting of two, it's the universe realizing its own reflection. Love is not a bridge between two beings. It is the recognition that there were never two beings at all. Alan Watts said, "You and I are all as much continuous with the physical universe as a wave is continuous with the ocean." When this truth is seen, love ceases to be personal. It becomes cosmic, a vibration of unity that flows through every heartbeat, every breath, every glance. Two awakened souls recognize this in each other. They understand that love isn't something that happens times between times them, but times through times them. They become instruments of the same divine melody, harmonizing without effort. Their presence radiates peace to everyone they meet. In this recognition, all seeking ends. The restless search for meaning, belonging, or completion falls silent. What remains is simplicity, the ordinary miracle of being. Washing dishes, walking in the sun, sitting in silence, all of it glows with the same sacredness. When they look at each other, they don't see a partner, they see the eternal looking back. And in that gaze, all stories dissolve. What's left is pure awareness, pure being, pure love. This is what happens when two awakened souls meet, not drama, not dependency, but a quiet revolution of consciousness. It's not about possession or permanence, but about the eternal now, where love and freedom merge into one. When consciousness meets consciousness, the universe bows to itself, and in that bow, in that sacred recognition, love reveals its true form, infinite, selfless, radiant. If this reflection touched something within you, leave a comment, give it a like, and subscribe to join others who walk the same quiet path of awareness. Together, we explore what it means to live wisely, fully, and awake.